action. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tribe Thursday. As you know, Tribe Thursday is where we bring along great community partners, people that are in the community, parents, friends, family members, things of that sort that can give resources to our community. People who can give resources to our students, to our parents, and making sure that they're on the right track. And today we have a special guest, especially during this particular situation. My name is LaShondra Robinson, and I am the executive director of the wonderful organization called UCAN of Memphis, where we're here to provide you with leadership development for your high school students and character building for your middle schoolers, specifically building upon bullying prevention. So without further ado, you know how we do it. It's 5 questions that we provide our guests. And today we are talking about voting. VOTING. We want to make a check mark. We want to make sure that you go out and vote. And right now, this is the time to use your rights to make sure that your voice is being heard. We don't want to have any more excuses about, well, something has happened or they will never use me. We're going to talk about that and why your voice is going to be important. So I don't want to hear you. I don't want you to hear about me talking anymore. I have a special guest, and this guest is a friend of mine. I've been working with her for a very long time, but not only is she someone that has been in the community with Our Grass, Our Roots, she's also your councilwoman. And she's the councilwoman for District 7. Yes, District 7. You know her. You've seen her. She's the hardest working woman out there. And I am so happy to have her aboard on today on our Tribe Thursday, Miss Michaelin Easter Thomas. Yay!
Thank you for having me, LaShondra. I'm so excited to be on here with you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming along. Now, I know you are a busy woman. You've been hitting the trails, making sure that our community are aware about what's going on, not just in the city, but in the United States. So today is so important to talk about the voting. Why should we vote? But before we get into that, just in case somebody hasn't heard about you, shame on you if you haven't. Let's talk about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, a little bit about me, Michaelin Easter Thomas, from North Memphis. Right, that's first off. Born and raised, and I'm a community advocate. I am a SCS educator, and I also am city councilwoman for our District 7 that goes from the river to Raleigh. So I just like to help out where I'm supposed to, support people where I need to, and just making sure that Memphis is a better place for our generations coming up.
Yes, and she's been doing exactly that. So make sure that you go to her page and follow her. But she's going to give you that information later on so you can know how to get in contact with her. But we're going to go ahead and get started on our questions because, as you know, we have about 30 minutes, and I want to make sure that we get enough responses to the questions that we have so you can be prepared and be ready to vote. So let's go ahead and get in with the first one. We know what it is. My vote doesn't matter. They're going to pick whoever that they want to anyway. So why even vote?
You're right. They pick. And if you vote, you pick. So if you always leave it to somebody else, decisions will always be made without you and for you. I don't know anyone that wants decisions made for them. We all want to make sure that we have a chance, we have a voice. I do understand that it's people in our communities who who may not have the opportunity to vote. However, that influence can still reach and stretch to people in your family, to your friends, to people in your neighborhood. But as I was going through the campaign last year, we were met with a lot of individuals who said the same thing. It doesn't matter. Politicians do whatever. It's just business as usual. They don't care about us. And you know what I do as an educator is I open the door for curiosity and just people being inquisitive. So I flipped the question. My question is, what do you care about? What matters to you? And by the time you get done talking with about what matters to you, I can let you know that probably 90% of that has something to do with who we vote in office. So when people on the campaign trail in neighborhoods and neighbors would say, well, I'm worried about trash, or I'm worried about potholes, or I'm worried about economic investment, or I'm worried about the environment. That's politics. From the time we go to sleep to the time we wake up, and everything we do throughout our day, almost everything we touch is governed by politics. And local is even more in our daily lives than anything, you know, with that storm last week that knocked maybe your pal and my pal out too. MLGW, Memphis owns that, right? They come before city council and we vote on different things concerning MLGW. That pothole that might be in your street, that gets reported to the city, and your taxes pay to fix those potholes. So everything we do, even the school system, that's governed by a body that's elected by you. They review the budget, they put in the superintendent, they're figuring out now, what are we going to do returning to school next school year. So I would say that if you would like help in making your own decisions for your life and making it better, and whatever you care about, figure out what you care about first, and then we can translate that into making a vote.
I think that's so important when you said, what do you care about? Because again, like with the potholes, electricity, all those things that came about, people, first thing you say is, you know, look at our elected officials. They're not doing anything. I bet if it was bothering their home that, you know, they would make a point and make something happen. But it actually did bother their home. And they are just as human as we are. And so you have to be able to make a difference in voting for the person who you believe is going to be best fitting for your needs, for your, not just your needs, but your family needs and your sibling needs, your future grandkids needs. Shout out, I'm about to be a grandmother, so I got to put that in as well.
Oh, congratulations.
So make sure that you get out and vote. Your vote does matter. And although there are some situations, like you said, that people can't vote, voice your opinion to those individuals who can vote. That way you guys can sit down and at the table and talk about why it's so important to pick these particular people.
Strategy.
Teens. Yes. And so by you saying you're an SES educator, you know all about the teens who may be coming up and saying, well, my vote doesn't matter. When I get a chance to vote, it's not going to even matter. What can you say to them?
Right. Well, I used to teach high school. So we talked and I taught history and government. So we talked about this all the time. And a lot what we would talk about, we wouldn't talk about voting first. We would talk about how they feel about their future. What do they think Memphis offers them? What do they not see that's being available to them in this city? Would they come back after going to school? Would they go to school here? Do they even see a future in going to school? And then we would take that. We would talk about how people feel, our thoughts, our plans. And then we would talk about how voting could help that. And we would also talk about juries too, because that's part of your civic duty, jury duty, and voting. I put them on the same line. Because, you know, if we're talking about jury of our peers, and we talk about the disproportionate amount of Black and brown young men who are in our system, that's because a lot of them don't get a jury of their peers, because we also think that jury duty is something we shouldn't be doing. But looking to see how our city can be better in the future for our children, for the youth, that's one of my main motivators. You know, it's not good enough if I'm okay, you know, in my house. If my utilities are on, no pothole in my street, I got my speed bump, I got my security, I'm fine. But when you think about what type of city are we leaving for the youth, how are we setting them up to achieve? What are we doing for them so that they can know how to strategize and plan and get economic growth and provide wealth in their communities and rotate dollars around the neighborhood 10, 12 times? How do we do that? We got to do mentorship. We got to do voting, you have to do exposure, you have to do education. It's a mix of things. It takes us all, but we just have to keep in mind what type of city are we setting up for our youth. Are we setting them up to fail? Are we setting them up just to come on in and, step on what we did, use our platform and just soar off to take Memphis where it needs to be?
And that's so important because teens are looking at the social media, and so they're trying to debate, whether or not I want to vote for this person when I have the opportunity, or is this person who everybody voted for was even worthwhile? So how can social media be used and misused to clarify the quality of a candidate, especially about what's going on now with not only just the pandemic, but just with the riots? And you got the mayors coming out and talking. They're on social media. You got the president that's tweeting. Everybody wants to be a part of this, but that's all using their platform of social media. So how can social media be used and misused to clarify the quality of a candidate?
I think it can be heavily used or misused. And I also want to make sure that I put out there that we can't think that just because something looks like it's successful on social media that it actually is. A majority of voters in Memphis are older Black women. Those are our majority voters. And they're not all on the computer. They're reading a newspaper, they're watching news, or they're looking in their mail. So I think that social media is a good platform to get your points out and widely spread amongst people who might tell others in their network. But I also think that one way it can be misused is thinking that's the only thing or the only way you're going to find out information about a candidate. But, with social media also comes the wide web and the internet and the ability to research and Google. And that's when you put those skills we got in high school English and history class to use, trying to see which sources do I believe. How do I tell a fake news from a reputable source? Let's see, keep falling out my ear. Sorry. How do I tell the difference between the two? And then what do I do with that information? Making sure the best and the worst thing that I could probably say that was made on the internet was the meme, because it's easy just to see that one snapshot and just run with it, not getting any context, not getting any background knowledge. You're just running with that one picture, not having a title, or author, a date. Now I'm getting back into my educator mode, not having anything on the source to tell you where it's from or how you're supposed to use it. But I think we just need to make sure that we promote the idea of when you do get information, fact check it. As we see with our president, we need to make sure we fact check. Some people, as you grow to trust people, you can take them at their word, but still you want to make sure you do your own research and get your own knowledge, so that not that you can just go against that person. Not saying that you fact checking is going to go against that person. It should make you support them even more. So I know I personally make sure I don't want to give out any information that's false. I'm slow to talk. I'm quick to listen, because if I say something or if I post it, it can be retweeted or shared a million times. And if I said it wrong, or if I said something that wasn't true, that's thousands of people who now have bad information. And I don't want to spread wrong information. So I think we use it for what it's worth. It's great, social media, but just making sure we're fact checking and making sure that we're doing other means too. We got to watch the news. We got to read. We got to read articles. We got to read the news. We got to read. So just looking at social media videos or posts is not a substitute for keeping up with digital literary elements such as the news and different news articles from different sources. So I think we just use them all in tandem, and we can make good decisions. The more sources you have, the more information, the better. No such thing as too much information.
I agree with that, because when we're talking about social media, we're talking about building relationships as well. And people can place on social media anything that they like that is positive, anything that would be, as you say, like the fake profile or just what I want to portray to you as my community, something that's good, or I'm going to say something that's good. And then as soon as the cameras go off, then everything has changed. So I would definitely add on just to make sure that when it's time for us to go out and visit these individuals and they're having town hall meetings, like you have plenty of town hall meetings, go and visit these individuals so you can understand what their platform is, and you get the opportunity to ask them questions. And if you don't know what questions to ask a veteran like your mother, your father, your auntie, your uncle, someone who's been in, as they say, the game for a while, and ask them, well, why is this happening? That way they can better position the question for that individual, because they probably have done a little bit more research than our teams itself.
Right.
Which goes right into the question of, now that we're unsure how our future is going to look this year in regards to getting out into the public. And we know that voting is coming up, because voting is when?
We have our primary in August, and then our regular first Tuesday in November.
And now they're talking about mail-in votes. I personally, I'm not really comfortable with the mail-in votes, only because there's so many things that could happen. But I would love to get your opinion. What do you think about the mail-in votes?
I think we could play devil advocates on both sides of it. I think that mail-in or universal absentee ballot is what it's called. Usually you can get an absentee ballot if you're a college student and you're not at home during an election, or if you're elderly and disabled and you can't leave home, or if you're in military, or if you'll be on vacation or out of the country, out of town you can do absentee voting. You send in an application, you say, these are my reasons that I need to vote by mail. They send it to you, you mail it back, and as simple as that. So what universal absentee ballots is asking for is that everybody has the opportunity to mail in their vote. On one hand, a lot of people have brought up this can cause voter fraud. But on one hand, I mean, we're in the midst of a pandemic that's not slowing down. Our focus these past week and a half has been on the senseless murder of George Floyd and the protests that are all across the world at this point. But COVID-19 is still here. So we're dealing, as Black people, we deal with so much stuff, and we have to keep remembering that we're in the midst of a pandemic. And if it gets to the point of where the second wave of COVID-19 comes in the fall and we're not able to go to the polls, where does that leave us? So with me, I'd rather take my chance and mail in. I'd rather take a chance that democracy can prevail through absentee ballots and get those mailed in, rather than having someone not be able to go vote because now there's social distancing at the voter precinct and only 2 people can go in at a time, and they got to sanitize, and you on your lunch break, and you done caught the bus there to go to get your vote, and now you thinking about all that, you don't even want to go anymore. When we know this year we got to go, because we need a new president. We really needed one like a long time ago, but we definitely do not want to have the same one. And if universal absentee ballots will help us get there, I say let's go ahead and do it.
I can see playing both sides of it now. Definitely with the pandemic, definitely with what's going on now with the, like you said, with the senseless killings. And we have to make a decision now. We can't wait. And being in that long line would definitely deteriorate someone from actually going inside and voting, especially if it's on their lunch hour. And we know people don't like to stand in long lines at all, not unless it's for something else that they desire.
I'm one of them.
So
I'm one of them.
And I definitely can see how playing both sides can benefit whomever, just depending upon what you believe in and what you think is going to be best fitting for you. But I love what you talked about, and when you said we need new leadership now. So what information is very essential for voters to make an informed decision about candidates? And that's including our presidency, the mayors, the council people, the school board, anyone that has to have that vote. What information is essential for voters to make as an informed decision about these candidates? Because we don't want to continue to make the same mistakes, and then we getting deputy sheriffs in various states or whatever, and they're allowing these things to happen without any consequences or punishments. What information do you think is needed?
I think I'm a people person. So I look at people's background, the history of what they've done, and then their habits. You know, I think that good political leaders have already been doing work of helping people. Sometimes we don't get people in office that might fit that category, but that's how I look at it. So I'm trying to see what have you done for people? What do you do in your every day-to-day life that's centered on helping people? Because elected positions is all about people. So if you're not helping people before, if you're not doing anything to reach out with folks before, are you just going to miraculously change once you get in office? That's a no. And same thing about your habits too. Are you bad at communication? Do you respond to people? How do you talk to people? That's a good indication. So, you know, we have a president now. You don't have to say it because you're a nonprofit, but I'm not on here as a nonprofit, so I'll say it. We have a president now that talks horribly about Black, brown people, minorities, Democrats, women, everything. He was doing that before, so it's not like he would get better once he was in a role of that much power. And that just makes me as an individual constantly think about my actions and my words and how that impacts people. One reason why it might have seemed so easy to people that folks were supporting in the campaign for city council for me for last year, I knew these people. I knew you from community work. I was already making relationships, not to run, but that just helped prove my commitment to people. Yeah. And it gave an easy way for folks to back and support me. And that also goes with habits. I'm a transparent person. As I said, as much information, the more information, the better. So if you have a candidate not wanting to give you too much information or not giving you enough, I won't say too much, but not giving you enough, that's an indicator. Will they hide things from you? Are they telling you the truth? Do they even know what they're talking about? So you just got to really take a hard look at how people act, what they say, what they do, the same way like you would pick somebody to lead a team that you were on, right? Or in your workplace or at school. You wouldn't pick the person who you know doesn't do any work to to lead your team with your name on it, right? Because that person you voted in got your name on it. Okay? So if you're going to put your name on it, you need to make sure that it's something you fully support and that you'll be willing to say why you did it. And bring somebody else to support that too. So I think just making sure we take a hard look, using social media, using the news, using the internet, using people we trust and know. So if you have a mentor that you trust, maybe ask them where to start. You know, who should I be looking at? Not saying who to vote for, but who should I be looking at? Who are the people, who are your top 2 or top 3? And then take their top 2, top 3 and go research it and pick one. One that best aligns to your values. That's a good way to start. Start with somebody you trust, because usually if you go with somebody you trust, then you'll get somewhere that you can really be like, I'm proud I made that choice.
Right, because I know that when it was time for me to vote, they had this list of all the candidates in your particular district that gave history about what they did, what they were going to do, things like that. And so for our students, as we're beginning to wrap up of our last question, that's very important for them to have. So how can I or our community help get other students involved in making sure that they vote?
I think that we need to work in tandem with the schools to make sure that we get kids registered, to make sure that the same way they put up stuff about FAFSA and they put up stuff about college is the same thing we need to be doing about voting. And that's not all on the school system. It's going to take the school system. It's going to take us in the community. It's going to take us urging the Shelby County Election Commission to do their voter education job, because part of their budget, a lot of people don't know, part of in their budget committed by the county is that they are required to do voter education and registration in every SCS high school. Now, I work at SCS high school. I ain't seen them last year. They ain't saying they weren't there,
right?
But I walk around school all day and I ain't seen them. So I don't know if they came on my day off, but yeah. So we just have to make sure that we're all working together to just push. It's about exposure. You know, you have to see stuff more than once, and not just during the election time. We should be talking about this all day, all year, every week, every month. When you having stuff about prom stuff, you need to be having voter registration. When you having stuff about graduation, you need to be having voter registration. When you got clubs after school and tutoring and sports sign up, you need to have voter registration. It needs to be everywhere. It should just all be together. Right along with the FAFSA, right along with the ACT tutoring, you need to have voter registration. And you also need to have places where they can go to start their research to see who they would actually vote for.
Mm-hmm. That's so important because they just don't know. And I know by me working with the students, especially for high school students, when we talk about voting, they just didn't know. They didn't know who the candidates were. They were upset because they really didn't see the candidates in their community. They even made the comment about that. I don't see them in the schools. And so how do I know who they are? And I know that we try to push out two particular candidates to let them know that, hey, you need to come and talk to my students, and even giving them the platform to have it just for that hour to identify who they are, what they're promising or what they said that they're going to do, and then making sure that they move forward with it and getting the students their information, so when they do have questions, they're accessible and they can reach out to them.
Exactly.
Which leads us into, how can I get in contact with you?
I think I have said this every day, everywhere. I know this number is everywhere, but my cell phone number is 901-721-7667. And the thing we have to realize is that you can't trust anybody that you can't communicate with. And you can't communicate with anybody that you don't see. So you have to be visible, you have to be truthful, but you also have to be accessible. And I definitely believe in making sure that if you're a constituent of mine, or even if you're not, you know, call me, text me. If I don't answer, leave a message, I'll call back. Let me know what's going on, how I can help. And if I can't figure it out, I will tell you what I can do. Just to let you know, I just want to be as transparent as possible. I want to be as helpful as possible. If I can't answer this question for you, I might tell you where to go look. I might send you a number of somebody else who may can help you. And then you can take it from there, report back to me on what I need to do later. But I just make sure that I give my number out to people, because that gives people some trust in you. And I want my constituents to trust me, to know that I'm here doing the work for you. I'm committed to you. And this is what I am doing for our Memphis City government. So they can call me. You can
your website and Facebook.
You can look me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Type in Michael Easter Thomas. I don't think it's another one, and you will definitely find multiple ways to contact me. People send Facebook messages. They send Instagram DMs. They send emails. You can also go on memphistn.gov and type in City Council, and you can find my email on there. It's too long for me to say out, but you can find my email on there. Multiple modes of contact.
So again, there is no excuse. This young lady right here, she is accessible. She is ready to answer any questions. She's going to give it to you facts, not fake news. And she's going to give you reliable sources. I love your page. I follow you, as you know, on both sides. And she is making sure that the community is getting what they need with the mask. Yes, so she did
Yes.
for the mask, and also she's letting people know how to get homes too, how to get land, how to build collateral for you. So look, you need to follow her. You need to send her an email.
No such thing as too much information. No such thing as too much information.
Well, I so much enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you so much for spending time out of your busy schedule. I know you have a lot going on, and we definitely appreciate you. UCAN of Memphis definitely appreciate you. We hope to be seeing you guys real soon for our voting process, our own personal voting. And
Yes.
we know that you guys are going to make the best decision that is going to be for our city. So are there any last words that you want to give our people?
I would just say that register to vote, start researching things. Even if you're not fully prepared to say, I'm a voter, just start looking, start researching on why people vote, start asking around, ask people in your family, ask older members, ask younger members, ask other people your age to see what they care about and what can you do to fix it. And if voting is something to do to fix it, well, this sounds like an easy solution. And I'm sure you'll have so many people to help you with whatever you need to figure out with learning how to cast your own educated vote.
We are here to help. We are encouraging you to vote. Vote. Get out.
Please.
Make that check mark. All right, guys, our time is up, and thank you again for continuing to watch us on our Tribe Thursday. I am your host, your speaker, your wonderful executive director, LaShondra Robinson from UCAN of Memphis, and we had a great conversation with our District 7 Councilwoman, Michaelin Easter Thomas. So, as we get ready to leave out, we ask that you continue to watch us, share, like the page, and go ahead and promote it. Again, thank you so much for viewing us and watching us and sharing us. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. See you later.
Bye. Thank you.